Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're looking at some manga cards that have been released in Yu-Gi-Oh 7s for Luke, or as he's referred to as Rook within the OCG. Keep in mind that none of these have been assumed for release, they're just currently manga versions. The first one is Gemini Egg. It's got 200 attack, and you can use it as 2 tributes if you send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Now, it doesn't specify what you can use it 2 tributes for. Most of these types of monsters do have references to particular types, but if it's a generic version and can be used for any type of monster for level 7s or above, that's always a useful trait, because it means you're having to use less resources, and of course, discarding 1 card from the top of your deck isn't much of a cost. Stamina Burst is a normal spell card with the effect you can activate by sending the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Gain 500 attack for each pyro type sent to the graveyard. So this can actually boost your monsters up by up to 1500 attack, but it is dependent on you essentially top decking certain pyro type monsters. If you manage this, that means you can be boosting your monsters relatively high, but with the resources you would need to guarantee this effect, it's very limited. Rich Nebular is a normal spell card with the effect choose 2 pyro types in your graveyard and add them to your hand. I think there is the equivalent of this within a dark attribute deck that lets you do the same with dark attribute monsters. This is fine as an effect, but it's dependent on how good the pyro type support comes into the future. Big Almighty Negi is a normal trap card with the effect you can activate vast outer space from your graveyard. So that's quite interesting. You don't usually have cards which trigger off other effects in the graveyard, so this is nice depending on what that card actually can do. So I had a quick check of what outer space does. It's actually a field spell card, so this is a weird way of returning a field spell to activate it, and it basically reduces all monsters on the field's attack points by 300 attack and defense if they're level 4 or lower, so it punishes you for having weak level monsters. And the final card is Yugioh, the Armed Soul Dragon. This is a level 7 Dark Attribute Dragon type effect monster. It's got 2500 attack and 1500 defense. It says to send 1 card from your hand to graveyard, then you can special summon 1 Yugioh, the striking dragon, from your hand. Its soul turns into armor, equipping itself to Yugioh, causing Yugioh to gain 1500 attack. So Yugioh already has 2500 attack, so if it can actually do this, that would make it a 4000 attack monster, which I think can attack twice. So that can actually be quite devastating. I think that's one of the more powerful effects and means of summoning those types of monsters. My only concern with this card is that actually going to be translated into its actual effect? Or is this just the anime effect? Typically, anime effects are a lot stronger, and then they weaken them once they get put into actual card production. We have to wait and see. Of the number of monsters that have been introduced in spells within this that we've discussed, this is definitely my favourite card, Yugioh. And it's probably the only one that's relatively useful for the time being. We'll have to wait and see whether they actually introduce this or any of the other cards. What do you think is your favourite and why? Leave those in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content.